All right, good evening, Springs BOE. We're streaming to YouTube. The phone lines are open. You are being recorded. You may begin your meeting.
Welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for coming tonight. We're going to get started. Vicki, can you do roll call?
Sure. In attendance tonight is Eric Frederickson, Patrick Brabant, Kate Saracen, John McQuinn. And absent is Emma Field.
Thank you very much. Can we stand for the pledge of allegiance? Pledge of allegiance.
Nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and
So we're going to open with public comment. Number one, we'll have two opportunities for public comment. The first one will be for agenda items only. Before we start, I'd just like to read this to set the table, if you will, for our public comments. Ladies and gentlemen, we are about to convene into the public comment period of our meeting. It's absolutely crucial for us to hear from our community members about their concerns and issues and appreciate all of your comments. While we may not be able to respond to your concerns and questions tonight, we do take them very seriously and want to have sufficient time to process and research issues if need be, so we can respond thoughtfully at a future meeting or have the proper staff member get back to you at the appropriate time. I also want to point out that under state and federal privacy laws, we are unable to entertain any comments or questions about school personnel or any individual identities. On these matters, we would ask you to go through the appropriate administrative channels. Finally, we intend that our school board meetings serve as an example to our students, that members of our school board and members of our community can deal with controversial issues in a civil manner and demonstrate mutual respect. In that spirit, we ask that all speakers and members of the audience maintain civility and respect for any divergent views that may be expressed. We ask that speakers please address their concerns and comments to the board directly rather than the audience. Thank you very much. So with that said, let's get to our principal's report. At this time, I'd like to invite our building principal, Mr. Kelton, to the podium.
Yeah.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. Welcome, and welcome to our VIPs in the front row here, our students. So part of our school vision is to empower students, and the student council is an absolute great moment and a great platform to do so. I call on these students fairly often, and I push, and I'll continue to push every chance I get, to have them address the issues and problems that they know they can improve in this school, because ultimately this group is going to do great things and find issues, find concerns, and address them, because your peers will learn and support and grow from you. You are the leaders of the school. So without any further introduction, I would love to welcome up Mr. Foreman, our head of our student council.
I used to this quiet. More quiet than used to, but I do have the privilege to kind of announce them every day. We do morning announcements is how we start, but these are our elected officials that we have, excuse me, right now. They've seen student council kind of grow because they were in my sixth grade classroom, so they were able to see the mistakes of last year and the mistakes of the year before that, and even when they were in sixth grade. They have kind of 3 years experience out of it. So this is really a strong student council class. And I'm not going to really say what we do, but I can say a lot about this group in particular, because I get to not only teach them, I coach them, and I've had a lot of relationships with all of them. So it's pretty unique to have this group, and all of them with their own personalities and just strength and what they see in the school. And really, they're not problem, they're more solution oriented, oriented. So I'm really proud of them. I'm proud of what they've done, what they've accomplished so far. They come to me with what they see they want to fix, and I'm really just their liaison or advisor. So I just allow them to have the platform. So There's so much I could say. It's a lot of pressure. It does feel like church. Holy moly. All right, so should I introduce each one you're gonna introduce? You have. You have it on there, all right. So we had an election this year, which really, we have an election every year. We're trying to teach them about democracy. We are a republic though, okay, just like our country, all right? And we put them in place in order to kind of make solutions for their entire class. So they aren't in, they represent their students, the rest of the students. They wanted to have ice cream Fridays, they want to have pizza, they want to have dances, runs, all these things they have great ideas. All I ask is you listen to them with open mind. They're really smart, and they all on their own will be running the world someday. So I'm really proud of them. Without further ado, I'm going to introduce Ella Beal. She's our co-president with Rapid Marcus. Come on.
My name is Rafael DeMartis, and I am a co-president. My name is Ella Field, and I'm also a co-president. We have a few more members in the executive council. Hallian Kuchi is our vice president. Gigi Jordan and Maya Samuel are our secretaries, and June Peterson is our treasurer. And our student council advisor is Mr. Paul. We would like to share some of our recent accomplishments at Springs and some of our aspirations for the future. One of my original goals was to create more creative spirit weeks, and we have already accomplished that. Our upcoming holiday spirit week features new and upcoming ideas our school has never seen before. One of my ideas was to open our school library for early mornings. We were able to talk to the librarian, Ms. Lucina, and she agreed to open early mornings starting soon. As a group, we've all put in the work to bring back Ice Cream Fridays, and we've already had one successful day and plan on having more soon. We have a lot of ideas that we have not been implemented yet, and we would like to share them with you right now. In my speech, I proposed the ideas of an outdoor movie night, a color run in the spring,
I see a slideshow in the future of that might be a future presentation. Well, that's wonderful. Anyone have any more questions or?
I just love the idea of the suggestion box, because I've heard it a lot of times with kids over the years who will come up with a great idea, but they're afraid that it's too silly or it's too small. And just a suggestion box where they could just put their idea in there, and then they'll discover that it's not a silly or small idea, it's a great idea. So, yeah, I think that's a great little.
Yeah, we started off with one in the front of the building, but that was only on one side of the school. We're gonna try and get multiple around the school, so each grade, could try it out.
And have you got any good suggestions?
Not yet.
Take time, and you know, there might be something that goes in a newsletter or an announcement. Sometimes it might look like a really cool looking thing, but people don't know what to do with it quite yet. So it'll take time for suggestions to open up, but keep pushing. Well, thank you guys so much. Did you have any questions for us or anything like that?
You answered them.
All right.
I'm going to plug also. We're just this entire week up until the middle of next week, we're still doing Toys for Tots. So kids are bringing unwrapped gifts, and we have stations all over the school for them to drop them. So
Thank you for sharing.
holiday. Yes.
Wonderful. Excellent. Well, thank you guys very much for.
Thank you so much. That was fantastic.
I'm also sorry to Mr. Help. Don't feel compelled to stay. This is boring or you have homework. So don't worry, you can leave whenever you'd like. Parents as well. And there we go. Okay.
What parents are going to stay?
Sorry, Mr. Cobb. Thank you. Did you want more of an audience before you?
Yes, I did.
I didn't deflate here. I'm sorry.
So we are going to transition to our school report card. It has officially been released by NICED. You can find it on the NICED website. Everything about not only our school, but all the schools in New York. And we've had this data internally for a little bit, and we've been working with teachers. We've been collaborating together to always continue to improve and get better. And I think you'll see within the data, there are some great things going on here at Spring School. When we look at the data itself, what we asked ourselves when we first were exposed to it, are we sending students to high school prepared, ready, and not only to be successful academically, but socially and emotionally as well? And I would say that is without a doubt a yes, and that's due to an entire staff working hard and collaborating for each and every student and being an advocate for them. So some key takeaways we're going to share right now. I'm glad I had this printed out. I cannot see that far. So some of the things we have, our students, I think we can safely say that they're leaving spring, ready for high school, ready for East Hampton. And if we look at some of the evidence behind that, 82% proficiency rate, and I'm looking at the 8th grade here in ELA, which is significantly higher than the state average. We have an 88% proficiency rate in math and a 76% proficiency rate in science. Those are the 3 subjects that are tested. All of that significantly higher than state. Comparable, if not higher, to local schools as well. Collectively, if we take all of the testing grades, 3rd to 8th grade, our averages are equal to or better than the state in all 3 subjects as well. One thing that we do notice that is a little concerning and we want to work on addressing is that we have a large opt-out rate still here. And we definitely want to see data from all of our students, and doing so, I think based upon the students who are opting out in our school and how we work with each and every kid, that would only get our data even better and more competitive with the best schools around New York. So let's take a look quickly at our ELA proficiency level. As we go through, you'll see, if you can see that we're a 52%. That's an average proficiency level from 3rd through 8th grade, higher than the state. at 6%. If we continue on to math, you'll see that we are equal to the state at a 54%. Some highlights, our algebra kids are all 100% where they need to be, ready to even take on those advanced classes in high school, which is very exciting. Moving forward to science, same thing, our science students, our 8th graders, they take the earth science regions, 100% of them were proficient as well. So great job to our students and staff. And then we get into some next steps. So there are some things that I do want to share and some things that we have to work on. We continue to become computer literate. So the test this year will be 4th, 5th, 6th, and 8th grade. Those tests will all be on the computer. The following year, all grade levels will be taken on the computer. So we need to incorporate online assessment and getting our students not only used to working on the computer platforms, which they are, but typing faster, editing on the computer, highlighting, and it's just a different strategy that we're using. Science of reading, as you've heard for a while now, we're incorporating that throughout the school in many subjects, not just reading itself, because every teacher is a literacy teacher, but we do have that focus on the K2 early literacy. Parent meetings, that's where we're going to have our testing meetings to let them know and give them the platform to ask any questions that they may have about testing. And really encourage all students to take this test, so we have the data and we can help support them moving forward. Ultimately, as they get into regions and high school, it's mandatory, there is no opt-out. So we want to prepare them even more by having them take the test now. And then we have a couple of things that are supporting our students throughout. We have our MTSS program, which is focusing on multiple different aspects of learning, not just academics. We have AIS for students who are falling short of reaching standards, where we're targeting instruction to those students specifically as well. And then we're incorporating multiple different data points throughout, and that's formative and summative through our benchmarks through in class. And we're always learning and growing and meeting students where they are. And then finally, I just want to say that we're dedicated to working with all of our students, providing them not only the academics, the rich academics, but we do a really great job with experiences, field trips, bringing folks into the schools to provide a whole student approach to it. And we're very excited, and we'll continue to work to improve and solidify Springs as a really great school for many years to come.
Thank you, Mr. Cohen.
You're welcome. Thank you.
And this data comes from what we're looking at today. Sometimes it seems current, but this, of course, is the result of last year's.
Correct, the 23-24 testing, New York State testing.
So as we look at our district goals and we're trying to attain things, sometimes those things look like, they're in progress, but really some of the things that may have been installed, don't have the legs yet to really get the results. So we use this data, being proactive in the past and continuing to try to make.
Yeah, so we're continuously looking at data, looking at ways to improve our students and all students. And so we're hitting every single aspect of where we can improve, where we can support. It's not just teaching to the middle, it's bringing students up and then pushing students ahead as well. So very important that we are continuously looking at these points.
Excellent. I did want to point out, I have to correct me if I'm wrong, but the middle school testing averages seem significantly higher, right? But what I think is actually really nice is, I remember when No Child Left Behind came out, and there was a lot of pressure on testing, and it can get very stressful. Obviously, significant number of parents, choose to opt out. But what I'm seeing is a lot of happy students at the elementary level with a lot of wonderful activities, and those same students that are in our school that might not be hitting the middle school testing standard score, still totally average, adequate, even a little bit better in some cases. By the time they get to the middle school in our very same school, their test scores are increasing. So as important as metrics are for our students, our community, our teachers to understand, it's also not the only metric. It's a quantitative analysis, but what you don't see here are the qualitative aspects of the enriching experiences at Spring School. And I think they're getting that. And later on, they're even testing and improving it. So I wanted to add that as well.
Absolutely. Agree 100%.
My board members have any questions on the data presented?
Sorry if I missed this already, but last year's results were similar, if I'm not mistaken.
Similar, where we did inch up a little bit in each category, so great things are happening.
Yeah, I think as I pointed out, the trend, although we may have less proficiency in the younger grades by the time they get into eighth grade, the proficiency is much higher, so the trend is in the right direction.
Absolutely.
Eric, we'll look at the chart here, it really helps explain to me. So if you look at like the third grade, not tested, 22%.
Mhm.
Then you go to the eighth grade, which is 48% not tested.
For the eighth grade, a lot of that are the students who are taking, like for a math, they're taking the advanced, they're taking a high school assessment. So it doesn't really make much sense for them to take the eighth grade assessment as well, because they're already taking Regents exam.
So the percentage rate is probably lower than the 25%. If you took combined.
Well, across the board, we do have like the total, it's in the 20s, like mid-20s, yeah, for the entire
So it's
school.
about 48% of eighth grade didn't take the test, and then 40% seventh grade. That's a large percentage of not taking the test. So they're already took the Regents, the seventh, eighth graders.
Eighth graded,
Eighth graders.
a big percentage of them did.
Yeah.
So in those cases, not necessarily an opt-out scenario, they've almost tested out.
It's technically, it's a little bit of both. Technically, it's an opt-out, but ultimately, a big portion of them opted out because they are taking high school assessment and being proficient at that.
Right.
Would it be useful to take them out of the data? Or to
It could be.
with the numbers like without the kids who are doing so well that they're above these levels? And
Sure, we absolutely could, but ultimately, if we look grade level by grade level, still right there around the 20s, so. It's something that we want to take a look at, and hopefully we increase the number of students who are assessing for no other reason besides it provides us data, and then ultimately it prepares students for Regents exams in high school.
Any questions or anything? All right, thank you very
Thank you,
much.
everyone.
I also want to say, I apologize, so I read my whole piece on public comment, but then it actually didn't invite anyone. So, thank you for allowing me to process that myself. Totally on it. If you would like to make mention of that in your public comment, I will open it up now. So let's do the agenda relative comments now, only LTV, and of course, those of you who are here, does anyone want to step up to the podium for an agenda-related public comment? All right. You have a second, but let's go to LTV. Is there anyone on the lines?
We have no callers on the line, Eric.
Well, thank you. No takers. All right. Yeah, all right.
something that we want to consider
Yes.
in this amazing data from an amazing principal, that we have a very large multi-language, second language, English as a new language student population. And our larger population is in the elementary. So you're seeing a lot of good work because the test scores are growing because they're learning a second, a lot of our students are taking these tests as second language learners. So I just wanted to give a shout out to all of the staff because you may see the scores a little bit lower, but those students are learning English at the same time that they're taking state tests. Because interesting enough, our students and any student in New York State, if they're in the country for 1 year, they are eligible to take the state test. So I just wanted to give
Thank you so much for sharing that. Well, anecdotal for me, while I was making my comments, I was wondering that, I wonder if that plays into the data. You know,
Yeah.
that not always a fair shake for us, that the teachers are working so hard, the students are learning, and can you imagine how difficult it must be to take an English test?
Yeah.
And I know if I was in the country for a year, and I'm hoping to get to the deli and get my sandwich accurately, let alone take a test and test my knowledge.
Exactly.
So while it's speculative, I have to think, and I thank you for your comments, because the arc of those scores, as you give these students time to comprehend, it looks like it's shaking out one way or another by the time they're right. Because the body of learning in school is giving it time to take root. So thank you very much. Were there any other comments that anyone would like to make? All right, so I'm going to jump back ahead now to our consent agenda items. I ask the board for a motion to approve items 4.2 to 4.11 on our consent agenda. Do I have a motion? Do I have a second? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, so we're going to move to our business item section. We'll discuss this one, but we need to have a motion. So I ask for a motion to approve items 5.1 to 5.6 under business items on our agenda. Do I have a motion? What a second. Thank you. All right, Jonathan, thank you so much. Would you please review 5.1 to 6?
Sure. We have the warrants for the month of November. And then followed by that, we have our appropriation status report and revenue status reports. In December is when we start collecting getting tax payments from the town, so our revenue status report should show a little more activity in the coming month. Next, we have our claims audit report for the month of November. We have our treasurer's report as well, and then we have two contracts for approval. The first one is for our 2025 building condition survey. I'm excited to get this one done. It's by our architects, BBS. When we get the results of this, we can kind of really build out a 5-year capital plan for the needs of the building. And then the next one is our contract for snow removal. Thankfully, we got it before it snowed this year. That is the same vendor that we used last year. He has very comparative rates. He's lower than all the other quotes that I got.
Okay, right. We bidded it out as we should, and we got the rate that we needed. The best one, or
we didn't bid. We just got comparative quotes for the services for the year.
Is that's okay that we?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
I don't foresee it going over the cost where we would have to bid it.
Okay, gotcha. All right, do we have any questions? Questions. All right. Well, thank you very much for going over that, Jonathan.
Mm-hmm.
Without any more questions, all those in favor? And any opposed? Aye. We only get one eye. All right, so we're in favor. There's no opposition. Motion carries for items 5.1 to 5.6 on the business item section. So we're going to move to the committee updates now. I think it's great this year. We're looking to get a little bit more out of our committees and having recommendations made to the board. It's a way for community members, staff members, board members, these committees are still open for enrollment. I mean, they're in action, but if anyone ever wants to join, I don't think anyone would have any problem with it to have a rolling enrollment. But right now, our wellness committee, our communication committee, our buildings and grounds committee have met in between our board meetings, and there are some updates that would be great to hear. So starting out for our wellness committee, Dermot is on that committee, and if you have any updates you'd like to share with us all in terms of what's been happening and what might be coming our way.
I do. And thankfully, Emma wrote all this out. So I don't have to remember everything myself. One of the things we went over is we're going to try and set up a fresh fruit table at the school and see if we can get donations from local companies to make a donation where they could get their name on a placard that would, we could put a sign outside the school, have fresh fruit for kids, have a couple of stations around the school where they could just pick and choose as they need it. We could have it at lunchtime or even in the afternoon when their sugar levels start to slow down a little. Part of our idea was that the donations for this group table will be made directly to the PTA. It will be run through them. We're going to talk to some of the local farms, some of the food distributors to see if we can get even better rates to bring the cost down. And maybe to replenish the food on the table, we could try and get some help from the student council. As just let them all leave. One of the ways of getting the baskets around, putting them in different parts of the school would be to have a cart with the food basket on it. Looking into having a policy where birthdays are celebrated once a month. I know some teachers get a hit, but they have 3 or 4 birthdays in the 1 week, and there's only so many cupcakes that teachers and administration can handle. That's true. Wellness week, maybe towards the end of the year. Vending machines, try and have your options there. Some of the stuff, like too many Takis. And one of the ideas was maybe eliminate chocolate milk from the option for students. And some of the teachers have done that, just brought in just regular milk. It's fast, it's really pick up a bunch of the buzz. Like I've seen the ingredient list, and it's not just milk that's in there. And we're looking to see if it's possible to get organic whole milk for students, just to see how well that goes. That's what we're working on right now.
Thank you very much. From our communication committee, we have Kate. You have some updates. I mean, I'm on that committee too, but you know.
Oh, I don't know if we have that many updates.
We just have ideas.
Okay. The committee has a meeting in November to discuss our agenda for the school year. We have another meeting next Thursday, December 19th, from 4 to 5 o'clock. We'd love for any community members who are interested to join us. You can reach out to communications@springschool.org, or feel free to reach out to the school to get included in that. We don't have a ton to report at this point, but one of our early initiatives is to set up a community at Spring School email address to occasionally, and I use that word very strongly, occasionally send out updates to interested community members on school news and events. We're exploring having the journalism committee, the journalism club contribute to the email distributions to community members, and looking for more ways to further inform and possibly include the community in events at the school. So hopefully we'll have a way for community members to opt in or opt out of the email distribution, possibly on the website.
Right. Yeah, I think one of the themes of that first meeting was to see what possibilities are to involve the wider community into the ongoings of the school, to see how we can involve. Obviously, our community has been so supportive of this school, and we certainly have events for the community. Maybe it's not the case, they're just not aware of them. So the whole idea of that committee is to see what improvements we can make between our internal communication and external, and just getting ideas together and always making improvements where we can. So thank you for that. Eric, you're on the committee too. Does it sound about right?
That's right. We look forward to it. Absolutely.
So we have one last committee to report. That's the buildings and grounds. And Dermot, maybe, and Nancy together. If you could pump in Dermot's voice through your
I
brain.
apologize, I have laryngitis. So the Buildings and Grounds Committee has met a few times already. It's been very productive. We've actually, one of the first things we wanted to do was look at creating signs for where those Gumby flags are on Old Stone Highway. We're very fortunate we have a community family that is going to donate the signs, and we've been working on coming up with a design for that. We got close for that, and we're excited that we're going to be presenting it to the board to hopefully have a board approved design that was chosen by the committee. So we're excited to get that done. We've also done walkthroughs all around the building, and what we're looking to do is making sure that we prioritize things that need to be done around the building. It's very important that we maintain the building, and that we also look at things that we need to do to improve it as we're going forward. So the committee created a priority list. We'll be presenting that to the board in January to look at what we have money in our repair reserve. So we're gonna look at what we can use that money for between now and the end of the summer to get some of these projects completed. So we're very excited, so important that we maintain the building. One of the projects is this library ceiling right here, that needs to be repaired. We also plan on, hopefully, getting all the rest of the floors that have asbestos replaced throughout the building, looking at some of the doors and woodwork that needs to be sanded, replaced, or replaced, depending on the damage that's there. Getting some new shades and blinds throughout the building that are very old, and obviously making sure that we're maintaining and updating our heating system, which has been an ongoing issue for quite a few years, from what I understand. And that's where we're at.
Thank you very much for going through that. Were there any questions, I guess, just on the committees in general, or, you know, that we have? I think it's been a nice process so far. Looking forward to see what comes out of those. All right, so we're going to go over our superintendent's report. I don't know if your voice, like, you know,
I'm gonna pass my notes over to Eric.
Okay.
It's a very exciting night for us as a board and administration and staff. And we're appointing and recommending a number of new faculty and administrators to the district. So first I want to start with Jessica Rogers. She's currently our assistant. I'm so sorry, I sound horrible. Want to read? Okay.
A lot of pressure now.
Okay.
So we are excited to recommend a number of appointments. We have Jessica Rogers, who is currently our assistant principal, being appointed as director of PPS and chief information officer. Her background in special education makes her an ideal candidate for this position. Congratulations. Next up, Matthew Shimkus is being appointed as our new assistant principal. Matthew comes to us from East Hampton with extensive experience as a teacher, coach, and administrator. We welcome him to the Spring School family. We also welcome Penelope Jarvis as an elementary Spanish teacher. She has years of experience teaching Spanish at the country day school. We are fortunate to be able to continue to provide our students with this opportunity. Welcome. Emily Driver, who has been here for a few years and has done a great job for us as a substitute. We are now appointing her as a teacher assistant, which is wonderful. She has a New York State teaching certificate in childhood education, grades 1 through 6. Congratulations, Emily. More very, very exciting news. We are recommending Melissa Dexter for tenure this evening. It was a pleasure for Ms. Carney to observe her first grade E&L classroom, and for myself as well throughout last year. It's obvious that her students have great respect for her, and they are very successful learning the English language. Melissa comes highly recommended by Ms. Carney, as well as our other administrators and her colleagues. We are fortunate to have her as a member of our Spring School family. That is absolutely true to the highest level. So congratulations, Melissa, from Ms. Carney and all of us. We gratefully accept a donation from the East Hampton Education Foundation in the amount of $2,000. This was received on behalf of teacher Vicki Firemark, who submitted an application for a project titled Timetable Earbuds. A teacher can be teaching in English and the earbuds will simultaneously translate that into Spanish for our students. We are also grateful to receive a donation from Riverhead Building Supply on behalf of technology teacher Frank Cole for wood donations for various projects during the holiday season. Enrollment has remained steady. We have one more elementary student from last month and 6 fewer high school students.
Wonderful.
Thank you, Mr. Count.
You got it.
And, we make it official, sincere congratulations to all of our people moving into positions. We are so thankful to have you and are very excited for your futures here. Were there any questions from the board on anything? I ask for a motion to approve items 7.1, 7.7. All those in favor of approving here? Aye. Any opposed? Absolutely not. Motion carries. Fantastic. And our final part tonight, as promised, is our public comment 2 section, and that it could be really on anything tonight. So is there anyone in the audience tonight or on LTV that would like to approach the podium for our final comment section? Yes.
Hi, how are you? I have a question. You talked about the opting out of the testing, state testing. What are some things that the school can do now to start to get the parents to change their minds?
Right. I think one of that, I could hand it over. I know one response to that is, obviously it's a personal choice for people, but being informed to make our choice is always useful. So I think being clear on the benefits of having students opt into that and being clear in our messaging. The more students that take the test in our school, the more representative the data actually is. It could improve it, there's a good chance it can improve it, it might not, but it's basically going to make the data more accurate. Another thing that I listened to Mr. Kell say tonight is, and you're going to step in a moment anyway, but correct me if I'm wrong on this one, I could list this off of you. In high school, you cannot opt out, but at our level of school, you can. So while we might shield our students from that, and that can be totally appropriate depending on personal needs, but it would be with that awareness and that information, one more consideration for a parent to make. If your student is going to have to endure that environment at the high school level, might they have an opportunity at the elementary or middle school level to do that? And what can we do together to better prepare them if it's a stress or if it's something else that's going on? So it's always a personal choice, but to be clear in information, the benefits, I think can be useful in that to answer your question.
So we need to make sure that we can educate our parents about something just like that, where they're gonna get it in high school, no matter what.
I just learned that tonight as a parent.
Well, and I bet you a lot of parents don't know that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm guilty of my, my wife tells me to listen sometimes, but I'm pretty sure other parents might not have got that too. So I think that's important, because without knowing that, I mean, that could personally, speaking as a parent now, that could change my mind, because I feel like personally, the stakes are a little higher in high school, you're getting closer to maybe applying to college. Yeah, it's just like with sports, you get more repetitions. It could be scary in the beginning, but if you eventually have to do that, that might change things. I did not know that, so that gives me food for thought. Is there anything, Mr. Kell, that you would add to that?
Just really that even though it is, and it comes down to awareness, like we said, and of course we want the most accurate sample of our students, but the test is just a test. And if we're teaching our students like we do every single day to very high levels, we're not teaching like it was, or it may have been when No Child Left Behind was first released. We have good teaching in every single classroom, every single day. And as a result, it's not this big scary thing hanging over our heads. We're going to go through this testing cycle, use the data to grow and improve, and that's really it. And ultimately, it's just going to show how well our students have performed and how great our teachers are, and that's really all it is.
Thank you. I hope that helps. That was a good question. Yes, please. We do, I know, you're close to the podium, but we usually have people come up to the podium if you can. Because there's probably as many people that listen on LTV. Easier to hear. Thank you.
I am Patricia O. A song story. I taught from science for many years at high school. And kids who don't take the test in 8th grade, or 7th grade, or whenever you offer it, that affects their placement in the various science courses. So if you don't take a test, you haven't proven what you can do, or that you can study, or that you want to, So it's it's a key piece for parents who might want to see their kids put into beginning research, for instance, or bio instead of earth science. And so that might be a bit of a selling point to the parents. Just saying.
No, very good. Thank you so much. More information about it. LTV, do we have any callers for public comment too?
We have no callers on the line.
Is there anyone else in the room that would like to make a comment?
I have one more. The building conditions survey by DDS, are they working with the Building and Grounds Committee? Because it seems like they definitely overlap.
Right. I could.
You want me? Okay.
Yeah.
This is a survey that the state requires is done every 5 years. The state uses the data to analyze any potential projects that this district might have due to a declining condition of the building. After it's done, we do have to submit it to the state. It's just useful because they do all the data collection for you. So as a district, we can build off of what they report. And that's my hope.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else like to make a comment? Going once, twice. All right. So I'd like to make a motion to adjourn our meeting tonight. Do I have a motion? Do I have a second? Thanks. All right. Then all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Meeting adjourned. Thank you, everybody.